Hi, welcome to Citi TV's preview of the European Championships 2016 happening in France. So in our first video, we looked at the tournament in general, match ball, venues, and all the fancy things surrounding the tournament. Today, we are going to start looking at the various teams in their various groups. And I've got Benjamin Nketsia here with me. So Ben, we've got 24 teams, 6 groups. Let's start off with Group A. There's France in there, there's Switzerland, there's Romania, and there's Albania. The host team getting to start off the tournament on the 10th of June. They start against Romania.
Well, I think the Euros have come a long way, and it's good to be back after 4 years. Yeah. I mean, gone are the days when the tournament used to be played over 22 months. I mean, for those who don't know, the very first edition of the competition was played over 22 months between the USSR and Hungary. Now we have France again hosting the tournament. I mean, with regards to all that has gone on before the tournament, I think that we are glad to finally be able to say that we're almost getting underway. But I mean, for Group A with the host nation, I think it should be pretty interesting. Like we mentioned, France should be odds-on favorite to win this group. I mean, for a lot of reasons. I think that they had sort of a selection headache actually getting this team together. I mean, for Didier Deschamps, I think that should be a blessing for any manager to have a glut of quality players to choose from. What France should keep in perspective going into this tournament is not to allow crowd pressure to get to them. They should just keep calm, play their game, and I think that, I mean, from what I've said already, they should be able to win this group. I'm expecting that, all things being equal, Antoine Griezmann should be able to actually break onto the world stage with this competition. But you also want to look at the team like Romania. They don't boast of too many marquee players or standout players, but you can talk about Cristian Sapunaro. He's been a veteran defender for them. He's been there for quite some time. He's seen it all, and you can also talk about their defensive record throughout the qualifiers. They were arguably the best team with regards to defense, conceding just 2 goals the entire qualifying round. So you know that you won't get a lot of exciting football from this team, but you will get a lot of solidity. You get a team that is well organized. So I mean, the other nations should just watch out. For Switzerland, they have their own poster boys. Granit Xhaka, he will come up against Tolan Xhaka, his younger brother. I mean, Xherdan Shaqiri, for those who watch the EPL, are pretty familiar with him as things stand now. So they have a new coach who took over 2 years ago before the start of this tournament. So he's had time to toy around with this team. He's had time to experiment with the formations that work with this team and what won't work. So Switzerland should be right behind France if things go according to plan, or if projections go according to plan. Romania, I think, could be outsiders if Switzerland capitulates somewhere in the middle of the group stages. But all things being equal, I'm tipping France and Switzerland to make it out of this tournament. Albania, unfortunately, will be the whipping boys in this one.
So for Albania, they've got to put themselves in a very good place because it's going to be a very grueling tournament. First time ever, and they are in that group that has France, Switzerland, and Romania in there. But let's get to Group B, and we have England. Now, Roy Hodgson has had problems putting this team together, but when he's managed to put out a 23, he didn't take Danny Drinkwater nor Andros Townsend. He's taking Danny Sturridge and Marcus Rashford. He has to compete against Russia, Wales, and Slovakia.
Well, if he saw Slovakia's game with Germany, I think it will give him a lot to be worried about, because the Slovaks have always been that very organized European team. I mean, like I said, they don't come with a lot of flash either. They just pick their moments in games, and that's
got Marek Hamšík.
Exactly. Marek Hamšík is as big as midfielders come in the game these days. I mean, never mind the fact that he doesn't get a lot of write-ups about him. He doesn't get thrown in the media light often, but his quality is there. His leadership as well will be key in this one, not just his technical quality. He's been captain of this side for a while now. Liverpool defender Martin Skrtel should be on there. I mean, he's not had the best of seasons with regards to club football, but he's always a big name when it comes to his national side. But you talk about England, and I'm particularly concerned about Marcus Rashford. I mean, a lot of us are thinking what sort of strike partnership Roy Hodgson will go with in the tournament. I think that will be key to how the 3 Lions perform. What formation as well, from what we've seen so far, they'll do something close to a 4-3-3 or something that could merge to become a 4-2-3-1. But for those who have seen it so far, I think that Harry Kane and maybe Jamie Vardy should be the ones to start. But Rashford should come in with an outside chance of picking up loose minutes in the tournament, maybe 10, 5, 15 minutes in games that England look comfortable in probably. But we should look at the back line of the Three Lions as well, and we could say that it's not too it doesn't look too solid as compared to the other years. I mean, no John Terry in there. It will be interesting.
Chris Smalling
coming in, John Stones coming in, probably a young core with Joe Hart, likely to be one of the most experienced guys. Leighton Baines will still be in there, but we all know that his influence in the English side has waned over the previous seasons. He's had injury concerns of his own, so we don't expect too much from him. The midfield, like you said, with Danny Drinkwater, he's had a fantastic season. If you look at the numbers, he had more tackles in there than any other midfielder who was considered for this tournament. I was actually surprised Andros Townsend was also cut out of this team, because I look at the setup that they want to run, and he represented what looked like the only pure winger in the team. Raheem Sterling, he has dropped to the doldrums ever since he moved from Liverpool. He's almost dropped to the point where he's become negligible. But I think that this tournament is another platform for him to show people what we've missed from him during the regular season.
And then there are these two sides, Russia and Wales. Where do they figure in this group?
Well, you talk about Russia and Wales, and you hear the Welsh players talk about the fact that they are not in the competition just to make up the numbers. Gareth Bale, most expensive player in the world, it must count for something in this competition. Aaron Ramsey, a lot of people talk about the fact that his quality doesn't get noticed in Arsenal because of the sort of players he has to work around with. Mesut Ozil, guys like that usually steal his shine. So now he gets a chance to partner Gareth Bale, maybe form what we call a dynamic duo. He's sporting a new hairstyle as well, white blonde hair. Maybe the white blonde hair should count for something. You look at Russia, and I want to look at Artem Dzyuba, striker from Zenit St. Petersburg. He was their top scorer in the qualifying rounds. He scored all his international goals during these qualifiers, so you know that he's one to look out for. If you are possibly looking to compare him with any other player, and just in case you are lost as to what sort of player he is, you can look at a player like Romelu Lukaku. He's a target man who can move well, he finishes. He's not too much of a dribbler. He's like a Stefan Kiesling, if that will make the picture a bit clearer for you. So he scored 8 international goals so far, all in the qualifying rounds for Russia. He should be the key guy to look out for. I think that Russia represent always a strong side to compete in a tournament of this nature. England should be odds-on favorite to take this group, but we know the English, and we know their tendency to be overexcited during competitions of this nature. But all things being equal, I think that these two teams should make it.
So for Group A and B, you've heard the breakdown. Benjamin tipping England and Russia to qualify from Group B. And for Group A, he says France and Switzerland should make it through. So that's our breakdown for the first 2 groups. Like I said, there are 6 groups there. So in our subsequent video, we'll break down Group C and D and figure out what will be happening there. My name is Nathan. Quao, Benjamin Nketsia, join me. And join us for our next video as we look at the groups. As we look at the other groups in the competition, Group C and D. Remember, it's the preview to the Euro 2016 here on Citi TV.